news, current affairs, facts and opinion. Their future in our hands. Markets, globalist technocrats versus the people. A line in the sand. The McIntyre Report.
And welcome back, folks, to McIntyre Report. Jeremy McIntyre reporting live from Australia National Review Independent Media, where you can find the truth about many things. I was talking about how was it possible, in an interview recently, I was asked to confidently predict not only geopolitical trends, but also financial trends. How was I able to predict the rise of Bitcoin and tell Australian National Review readers to buy at $75 US and sell at 110,000 US? How to buy gold at 300 an ounce, we told our followers, investor clients, and that's rose to close to $5,000 an ounce to buy real estate at the bottom of the US property market in 2010. We don't share these things at Australian National Review to impress you, but to impress upon you that we're able to successfully predict financial trends ahead of time, but we also successfully predicted that Ukraine would not defeat Russia. As you were told in Western media, Ukraine was going to win. We always said that is highly unlikely. Russia will win that war, and we see Russia is winning that war, and Ukraine has virtually zero chance other than reverting to a nuclear war. Western media told you that Israel and America will win easily against Iran, and we told you highly unlikely Israel will win, that Iran will wipe it off the map if it wishes to, and the only way, of course, Israel and America could win a war is by dropping nuclear bombs. Kind of reminders of World War II, who dropped the atomic bombs, who created it. The Jewish created the atomic bomb, and they actually had the atomic bomb dropped. The only nation in the world that is likely to drop nuclear weapons is actually outrightly threatening it and has the Samson option, that if their survival is threatened, they will nuke all of us. Now, as China's come out and said, the world needs to disarm Israel. Of course, the world needs to disarm Israel, and we shouldn't leave all the heavy lifting just to Iran. Those who still stand with the satanic banker wanker cartel state, fake state called Israel, thinking somehow it's a biblical state, yet 1948 is only 6 years ago, somewhat less than biblical times. And just because the Rothschilds, banker wankers, Rothschilds cartel, who now have admitted, or have been known by most of us through the Balfour Declaration, dear Lord Rothschilds, who actually claim they founded Israel, which we know they did. It's a banking cartel state. They claimed that they were, as you know, God's chosen ones. These fake Jews have become rich and powerful by printing fake money, including the control of the Federal Reserve. They took over in 1913 after a particular ship sunk in 1911, killing their competitors coincidentally and conveniently. They printed fake money to buy up your fake news media, your fake politicians, your fake democracy, and they control your fake book and your fake news, and they push out fake narratives, including fake pandemics. And of course, for a fake pandemic, you need fake vaccines, and fake people fall for this. But how are we able to predict and tell you ahead of time what's likely to happen and being so accurate at predicting this? Do we have a crystal ball or no? You want to know the answer? It's very simple. Post this on Twitter yesterday. It's extremely simple. How are we able to predict the future? Who will win the wars ahead of time, and when you should buy Bitcoin like $75 US and not 120,000 US, and gold years ago, and real estate at the right time, is because we don't listen to Western media. The Chinese are bemused, folks, that us Westerners believe our news is news, because in China they know their news is not news but propaganda. Why do us Westerners think our news is news and not propaganda? Valid question, right? So Western media is the biggest propaganda. Now we can say Russian propaganda or Chinese propaganda, but I got to tell you the truth. RT News as an example, China Daily as an example, their news is way more impartial, way more honest and truthful than Western media. And you look at countries like Australia, some of the most dumbed down nations on the planet. Now, that's no offense to my own country. That's an offense to our media, our fake news media that subtly and not so subtly, including around the West, lies to its people on a continuous basis, to have them thinking they're on the side of good when they're actually on the side of evil. And the West is actually led by a banking cartel state, which they named, ripping off a biblical name called Israel, and that we should somehow stand with them because the enemy is Muslims. Muslims when the enemy is not Muslims. Christians and Muslims don't really have an issue with each other. The only people that seem to have an issue with the planet is not even the Jewish. It's fake Jews claiming to be Semites, and that if you don't stand in line and cheer them on genociding babies, and the only piece they want in the Middle East is pieces of kids' body parts, now girls' body parts, spread over the Middle East after they now bombed and attacked a second girls' school in Iran, a second one. There is no military targets around this. America killed 160 girls, kids, deliberately. A war crime of the gravest possible order. But your Western media doesn't complain about that. They call Putin a war criminal. They call China, war criminals, threaten humanity. Yet there's only one threat to humanity, and people have woken up. New polls show that even in America, people are turning against Israel. I just wonder why dropping bombs on children in Gaza relentlessly and turning into a parking lot, and then targeting and killing 160 little girls at a school in Iran. It's not a vote winner. I just don't understand, Netanyahu, how that is not a vote winner. Oh, that's right. We're the problem for criticizing dickheads like you. We're the problem. We're anti-Semitic, are we? Because you're not even Semitic. You're from Poland. You have a fake name because you're a fake Jew funded by fake money and supported by fake people. And that's why, Netanyahu, your destiny has already been predetermined. I can tell you now and predict what's going to happen to you. But let's keep that a little secret for now. How are we so accurately able to predict the future? It's very simple, folks. Whatever they're telling you in Western media is deflection. It's the exact opposite. Even if you don't know, you don't have time to be a geopolitical expert. You don't have time to consume all this energy. You're busy paying off a Rothschild's mortgage because you're enslaved by high debt, because of high property prices in the West, because of Rothschild's banking system. And then they invented income taxes, taking half your money, and the other half, their bank debt is taking the other half, and you're a modern-day slave thinking you live in the illusion of democracy when they control both left and right wing, and in Australia, they even control one nation. So the new alternative they're going to give you, they control that as well. And you're busy and stressed with your life. I don't have time, Jamie, to like you and others to study geopolitics and be able to accurately predict the future. Well, I can give you a shortcut. Whatever they're telling you in the media is a lie, and usually it's exact opposite. At least you're heading in the right direction. They're going to tell you Israel is going to win this war. I can guarantee you 90% chance you put your money on Iran and you'll be right. They told you Ukraine was going to win the war and Ukraine was right. That unprovoked invasion by Russia, complete and utter lie. That means Russia's going to win and it wasn't unprovoked. You know how it works, folks? Whatever they're telling you, it is the exact opposite. Anyhow, what they won't tell you in Western media, they won't show you this.
Ya Allah, you!
يا ابوي وصلنا الطلق.
Okay, guys, we got to get off the roof. These are coming down right next to us here. They're coming down. One just about. We got to go inside.
وين ابوي؟ ميتتي؟ كيف؟ اوي اوي مالك مين قام
If
נפילות, אחי, נפילות של החיים בנבטים. נפילות בנבטים, אחי. נפילות קשות בנבטים, שומע? וואו, 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 וואו! וואו! הכל נופל לנבטים, אני אומר לך, מתקפה אחת החזקות. אימא'לה, אימא'לה, אימא'לה.
Well, how come it's against the law? So Israel is apparently the only democracy in the Middle East, yet strangely it's against the law to show videos of Tel Aviv and Israel being obliterated right now by Iran, because they don't want you to know the truth. They don't want you to know what's really happening, that Israel and America are in a panic and that Trump is panicking. Trump was manipulated into this war by Israel and by those around him that believe that he is, he manipulated working for Israel. Look at this yesterday. So sorry about no audio there, but what Trump even yesterday is now basically throwing Hegsworth, Jared, Steve Witkoff, and so on, Rubio, under the bus, saying he was advised by them that if we don't attack now, Iran is going to attack us, which is complete bullshit, right? They all work for Israel. They're Israel puppets. And Trump is one of the easiest people to manipulate. He can boost his ego and feed him bullshit. No offense to Trump, but he speaks so much bullshit that he'll believe bullshit. And he also knows they'll just release more Epstein files if he doesn't bomb Iran. And now he's misled that America is so great and Israel is so military powerful that Iran has no chance. Complete bullshit. Anyone that knows geopolitics and studies the truth will know this.
I don't know how many THAAD batteries we deployed into the region, the THAAD being the more advanced of our air defense system. So that's probably a classified number. What I do know is that there's photographic evidence that 5 radars associated with THAAD batteries have been destroyed by the Iranians. The Iranians are precisely picking us apart. They're taking us apart piece by piece by piece. They took out our early warning eyes in Al Udeid, $1.1 billion early warning radar, gone. They've taken out other radars. They've destroyed 5 THAAD batteries, which I believe, and I wrote this earlier, is the maximum number we have deployed in the region. So our THAAD is no longer operational outside of Israel. And they are now picking us apart, destroying there are people who are saying the amount of destruction have done to American military infrastructure is the greatest in the history of the United States, that outside of the Civil War. Nobody has ever inflicted this much harm on the United States. Nobody has attacked American military installations to this degree. And the Iranians are just picking us apart piece by piece by piece. They're using intelligence provided by the Russians and the Chinese that specifically identify locations, and they have the weapon systems that are able to strike these locations, and we don't have the ability to defend ourselves. So ask yourself, who's winning this war? The trajectory is in favor of Iran.
I can tell you, if you ask an Israeli General Zamir, he thinks we are. Watch this.
I am in continuous contact with my American counterparts, including the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff of the United States, General Dan Kane, and the Commander of CENTCOM, Admiral Brad Cooper. We are fighting based on shared interests and values. In this war, shoulder to shoulder, they are true friends. Through coordinated action, we are stripping the regime of its military capabilities and bringing it to strategic isolation and a point of weakness in which it has never been before.
Yeah, so pretty much game over. I mean, you saw the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, is like said, yeah, they're toast. We are definitely winning. And boy, you ain't seen nothing yet. He said yesterday, much, much more is coming. What do you say to that?
Well, I believe much, much more is coming. I believe we'll continue to drop bombs on Iran. I think we're going to continue the video of things blowing up. I saw in your resume, Colonel, that you were a participant in Operation Desert Storm. So you know full well that we blew up a lot of infrastructure in Iraq as well. I was one of the people to help design the strategic air campaign, and I monitored it as a battle damage assessment officer. And then I went into Iraq afterwards as a weapons inspector and visited all the places that we blew up, all the places that were in our target package. And what I found is that we blew up a lot of buildings. I was told by an Iraqi general, a very senior Iraqi general, he said, Mr. Scott, you guys are really good at blowing up buildings, really good. He said, and we're pretty good at pouring concrete. And he said, the thing is, when you blow up the buildings, they're all empty. But when our concrete cures, we put everything back in and we're back in business. And that's what happened to us after Desert Storm. We didn't destroy anything. I'm just here to tell you that straight up. We blew up everything and we destroyed nothing. I can guarantee you right now, this is a war that the Iranians have been preparing to fight for over 20 years, since Dick Cheney threatened to invade them back in 2005. And they have broken their country into 12 autonomous military districts. And each one of these has been preparing. They've been going underground. Firdos, the enrichment facility that Trump bombed, Operation Midnight Hammer. That place wasn't carved out to put in centrifuges. That was part of over 100 different places prepared around Iran to evacuate material. So that when they think they're going to be attacked, sensitive material is evacuated. This one was converted to be used as an underground enrichment facility. But around Iran are hundreds of others that are there to receive all of the precision equipment, all of the production equipment, all the sensitive stuff that's very difficult to replace, very expensive, is now in hiding. We're blowing up empty facilities, and we will continue to blow up empty facilities. And then we pretend that it's victorious, that we're doing some great stuff. We're not. We're not doing anything. And I also want to remind people, if you study history.
Yeah, well said, Scott Ritter, who's someone I respect. I read his book before the Iraq War, and I was one of the people speaking out way back then that we were being misled and lied to about the Iraq War. And who was misleading and lying to us was Netanyahu, lying to the world, lying to the Australian Prime Minister John Howard, lying to US Congress, these weapons of mass destruction. And here he is decades later, because he wasn't dealt with. Humanity has a bigger problem. And I'm not saying Netanyahu is the only problem. Netanyahu represents the enemy of humanity. And until we deal with these individuals, then we're going to have a problem.
The McIntyre Report.
And welcome back, folks, to McIntyre Report. You can follow our 24-hour news headlines, ANR.news, or follow us on social media, Jerry McIntyre, Twitter on X, and also ANR News on X. We're talking about what you won't hear in Western media and how people that follow Western media are continually able to know what's going to happen, including ourselves here. We accurately predicted not only financial trends, which helped our clients, private investor clients that follow us, make over $10 billion, increase net worth. So understanding geopolitics can actually make you rich. But the real reason you shouldn't understand it is know what's going to happen in the future, and those who have that advantage. So the shortcut we mentioned is very simple. Whatever they're telling you in Western media is a deflection. They're generally lying to. It's usually the exact opposite. Look at the exact opposite, and then you will know what the truth is. If they're saying Iran's suffering massive damages, we're winning, that deflection means Israel is suffering massive losses and losing. But you don't have to take my word for it. Let's just check it out.
Trump is now eyeing an island, a remote Persian Gulf outpost that channels up to 90% of Iran's crude oil exports. Millions of barrels flow through this single point every day, connecting Iran's resources to global markets and powering its economy. Located just off Iran's southern coast in the Persian Gulf, Karg Island is the country's primary oil export terminal. Every day, roughly 1.5 to 1.6 million barrels of crude oil pass through this small island before heading to global markets. For decades, it has served as the central hub of Iran's oil trade. Karg is more than just an island. It hosts massive storage tanks, subsea pipelines, and specialized jetties where supertankers load Iranian crude. Despite recent military activity during Operation Epic Fury, the island's export infrastructure has remained largely operational, which makes it one of the most valuable strategic targets in the region. The strategy being debated is straightforward: seize Karg Island and control Iran's oil exports. By capturing the terminal, the United States could theoretically disrupt billions of dollars in oil revenue that sustain Iran's government and regional activities. Supporters argue that controlling this single location could create maximum economic pressure without launching a full-scale invasion of Iran. But the plan carries serious risks. Karg Island is small, exposed, and heavily defended. Any attempt to seize it would require ground forces operating in a confined space, vulnerable to missile strikes, drones, and naval counterattacks from the Iranian mainland. Iran could also destroy its own export infrastructure, eliminating the strategic value of the operation. Even temporary disruption at Karg could shake global markets. Oil analysts warn that halted exports could drive prices $10 to $20 higher per barrel, sending shockwaves through the global energy system. For strategists, Karg Island represents a powerful lever in the ongoing conflict. But seizing it could also trigger wider escalation across the Strait of Hormuz, one of the world's most critical energy choke points. A single island, yet the stakes extend far beyond its shores.
Yeah, it's very interesting, the power of the Strait of Hormuz, and Iran will continue to use it. Interesting, the BRICS, it's a fight between who issues money. Remember, all wars are predominantly banker wars, who gets to issue money. And as we know, the fake Jews and the print fake money, the control of the Federal Reserve in the US. And after they sucked the British Empire dry after World War II, they moved on to the US Empire, and they've been sucking it dry. And they know the next president is not going to be pro-Israel. Americans are turning. So I understand that. So they're want to move on to India as their next host. They're going to suck dry, and India is not careful. That's what's going to happen to them. So as a result of their printing fake money, but the BRICS are going, hang on a minute, we don't want to rely on the US dollar backed by nothing. Fake money printed by a bunch of banker wanker satanic fucks from the fake state of Israel. We can print our own money, or until we do that, we can trade our own money. And so we no longer need a US dollar backed, trading oil. People are shifting to the BRICS. So they're trying to stop that. But Iran is smart. Iran is part of the BRICS, the extended BRICS family. And they're allowing China's ships through, Russian ships through, and BRICS nations that are supportive, that don't stand with Israel. But of course, those states that do stand with Israel, they will be blocked. So as a result of that, then you can see what's going to happen. Oil prices already went past $100 a barrel. It's jumping up and down between 93, that's our last, and $120 US a barrel. Could go to 200 US a barrel. Russia is going to get extremely rich. China will be fine because its oil supplies will be able to have, but India won't be. Even though it's a part of BRICS, it seems to be becoming a little bit friendly to Israel, and they could suffer because they rely on most of the oil from the Strait of Hormuz. And the West is going to be absolutely fucked, including Australia, because we have about 2 weeks reserve of fuel left, which has been known for some time, but the government's done nothing about it. So strategic oil reserves are being tapped right now around the world to keep the oil price down. Iran knows exactly what it's doing. It just has to keep the Strait of Hormuz blocked. As long as it wishes, it has the power. It has the military power to wipe the floor of Israel, and it will.
Some breaking news. Israel has taken a huge amount of damage last night, and Iran was using missiles that we didn't even know they had. For context, the missiles Iran was using would break up into hundreds of pieces, so that Israel could not shoot them down, and they would hit Israel in hundreds and hundreds of places. But there's some things you need to know. First, the missiles that Iran was using last night were the Iranian Khorram Shah missiles. They're long-range, long-distance, very heavy Iranian missiles. But that's not the important part. The important part is the warheads that these missiles were using. Well, as these missiles would enter Israel, they would break up into at least 80 smaller pieces, so that Israel would be unable to intercept them and shoot them down. And the videos coming out of it are absolutely crazy. It shows hundreds and hundreds of missiles falling towards Israel, and they all hit Israel directly. Now, there's some other things that you need to know though as well. Iran probably didn't develop these missiles themselves. This is technology we only believe that China and Russia have access to, and so they've probably given these missiles and the warheads to Iran. But there's some other things. This missile strike yesterday came over the Israeli Ben Gurion airport, and there's some things you need to know. Well, the US currently has over 30 refueling planes in Ben Gurion airport, meaning that if these missiles directly hit the airport, which they might have done, we don't know because the internet's been cut off, then there's a high chance that dozens of those American refueling planes have been bombed by these Iranian Khorram Shah missiles, which broke up into 80 pieces each. And if that's the case, the US and Israel would have taken a huge amount of damage last night. And that looks like what might have happened. And so this is something they don't want you to know, but I'm telling you because I'm not afraid to. So leave me a follow because I'm covering the news that really you will not find anywhere else.
Yeah, it's true. Independent bloggers are doing a great job bringing the news to you, because we can't trust fake news media because they hire fake journalists who have to, for a paycheck, lie for a living.
What is the damage right now to Israel and to U.S. bases in the Gulf, do you think?
Oh, well, the bases in the Gulf, I wish I had kept the window open that I was reading, but basically at least 3 of the bases have been devastated. The 5th Fleet headquarters, I am told, and if you look at the satellite imagery that you can find on open source information, it looks like, actually the base in Bahrain looks like Gaza. It's completely moonscape. So the American 5th Fleet, now I don't know if there's any, because I think we might have evacuated that base before this started. So I don't want to say there's casualties because I don't know. But just looking at those satellite images, it looks like it's been flattened. And that's a very expensive base that you and I paid for. And that was the sort of the hub for the U.S. Navy in the Middle East for many years. And it has been completely taken offline. And I have serious doubt. I was talking also to a Middle East expert not long ago, and he was saying that with these bases being obliterated, basically, to use a term, essentially he doesn't think, because he thinks the Arabs are going to be so irate with us for having kicked over this hornet's nest, because it is not going to end anytime soon. His belief is that once the war does end or settles down enough for us to say, hey, we're good, we're done, the Arabs are going to say, you're not building back in our countries anymore. So
why would they? We didn't defend them. I mean, this is a reciprocal relationship. They're not doing this because they love us. They give us deals on billions, hundreds of billions in foreign investment in the United States, all this. But in exchange, we promised to protect them, and we didn't.
That's right. And in fact, there's reports, and I think they're credible. In fact, the Saudi official was complaining about this 2 days ago. Basically, whatever air defense systems were in these Arab countries were sent over to Israel.
Yeah.
And they actually left our own bases and people vulnerable. Our own government did, to protect Israeli targets rather than to protect our men and women in uniform.
Do you believe that's true? Do you believe the U.S. government prioritized Israel over our own troops?
If you had asked me this a year or two ago, I would have said no way. But after seeing that Huckabee interview, by the way, bravo. After seeing that Huckabee interview, I can't imagine how we didn't do that. I mean, it is very clear the United States is being led around the nose right now by what should be its proxy. I mean, let's get it real. I mean, it should be, so
they're the housekeeper. We're the homeowner. Like, what is this? I don't get it. No, I'm serious. I don't understand.
I agree. So I do believe, we probably did. And the worst part here.
It's so true what's said there, and well done to Tucker. He's really a thorn in the side of Israel. He said he's been threatened by Netanyahu, or his family has, twice now. And, well, Candace Owens is also speaking out. Many people are, but it doesn't stop the truth getting out. Well, of course, they're not going to show that to you on Israeli-controlled Western propaganda media. I just wonder why Israel's getting its ass kicked, but dumbed-down Westerners would be like watching Fox News or Murdoch News around the world, and not just that, left globalist news as well, both controlled by Israel. We'd be thinking somehow America's winning and they're there to liberate the Iranians. Heard that before. How's that liberation of Libya went? Iraq, Afghanistan? How's it going in Ukraine? Wherever Israel is involved, people get genocided and die, and they steal land and assets. Strange for people that print fake money. Why don't they just buy stuff with the fake money? Or they're too much tight asses to do even that. Now, this is not an anti-Jewish thing. This is an anti-fake Jews. If I was Jewish, I'd probably denounce my religion, but if that's offensive to Jews, then I think it should be more offensive that those who have hijacked your religion and dropping bombs on children and now targeting little girls' schools. I mean, we know they targeted little girls for other reasons, but now they're like blowing them up in mass. Sick, satanic pedos. Should people even leave Dubai? Here's a debate. Responded to Andrew Tate's comments.
Most of you do not deserve the city of Dubai. You do not deserve to live in a country where the leaders actually want the best for you. They don't want to steal all your taxes. They don't want to import people who are going to murder you. The people who come here work hard and respect the place. They want to build a utopia where there's world-class services, absolute safety and security, and they're doing it all for free. They don't even take your money from you. They let you keep your money so that you can send your kids to the best schools, so you have the best hospital access, so you can buy a nice car, so you can live in a nice place. They let you keep all of your money. And the second that Dubai is in trouble, the second that the reputation of this utopia is in trouble, you run away like a coward. You're like one of those girlfriends who leaves when her husband's business is down. You're worth nothing. And cowardice is worth nothing. The city doesn't need you. People don't need you. You can make up any excuse on the planet of why you ran away because of a few loud bangs, but the world remembers, the universe remembers, and karma is real. You've gone back to the Western nations, which take half of your money, who don't give a shit about you, who won't even answer. All these MPs and these presidents and all these people who we elect with a mandate via imaginary votes won't even answer an email. They don't give a shit about you. They completely ignore you. This is the only place on the planet where the government is genuinely interested in your happiness, because the only reason you are here is because you are happy. And the second the city needs you back to put up a few videos and say, look, you know what? There's been a few loud bangs, but life is completely normal. What do? You run away like a coward. There are now two types of citizens in Dubai. There are the people who stayed when the times get tough. There's the crazy people like me who came in specifically to post these videos and show the world that it's safe. And there's the people who ran away the second that it got a little bit difficult, the second they heard a loud bang. Oh, they could still order food to their house. They could still go out to nice restaurants. In fact, life was exactly the same, but they heard a loud bang once, so they decided to run away. These people are the worst type of people. Anybody who left, I no longer do business with, and I no longer talk to. You're a coward, and I don't like doing business.
Well, it's Andrew Tate. Obviously, many would claim that he's being paid by the UAE to do that video, which Fair enough if he is, perfectly entitled to. He doesn't sound as congruent as normal. Andrew speaks very intelligent on a lot of topics. Got to give him credit for that. Extremely controversial, and as claimed, broke the internet many times. But I would just simply say it's probably valid to leave Dubai temporarily if it's getting bombed or missile attacks or drone strikes. Now, since that video, they haven't stopped. And the UAE government, yes, they might have reduced taxes and done a great job turning a shithole into a beautiful city out of the middle of the desert. So that's pretty amazing what they've done. And I totally respect the vision. I've read the book, The CEO of Dubai, and what they've done is remarkable. I agree with all those things Andrew's saying. But I don't agree with the fact that people are cowards from wanting to leave a war zone. Dubai always is where it is a risk that is close to Israel, and it decided to side with Israel. And Iran has every right to penalize those who side with Israel. And the cowards are UAE and Saudi Arabia and the other Gulf states that for a bit of money or a bit of blackmail, they side with Israel instead of siding with Arabs, instead of siding with their people, instead of standing up united against the enemy and the threat to the Middle East and the enemy and threat to humanity. That's who the cowards are, Andrew. And that's what needs to be made clear. Plus, also, Dubai now has competition. There's plenty of nicer places that actually have culture, actually have not just 99% expats and highly paid tax dodging influencers and a lot of escorts. There's places such as Bali, Lombok, Indonesia, Malaysia, many countries. There's also South American nations. Many expats are now going, well, I want to live in the West. I agree. The West is cooked. They take half your money in tax. Rothschilds, Israel. They sky-high property prices. They charge you bigger mortgages. That's why they want consistent higher. It's inflation. They're exporting inflation by printing fake money. I agree. But Dubai does have competition. And I guarantee every July, people flee Dubai every year because it's too hot to live there. So it's a great stopover place. Many people love living there, and no shame on that. But there's other places to live, and it's now part of it's not a safe haven. Places like Indonesia have been rated third safest country in the event of World War III. Or places like New Zealand rated very highly Fiji and safety, but they're in the West, particularly New Zealand. But Indonesia isn't. It's part of the BRICS. Let's go a quick ad break. We'll be back with some more.
The McIntyre Report.
And welcome back, folks, to McIntyre Report for our 24-hour news, ANR.news, or follow us across social media, X in particular, Jeremy McIntyre 21. Let's hear some more from Tucker.
He's being shown polling that this war is like a 90-10 win for him. I flew up to DC 3 times in the last month to try to convince Trump not to do this. It didn't work. It happens. I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, boy, this is not going to get better. So then I think I'll fly up again and ask him. I mean, I don't know if anyone else is doing it, so I'm going to try to just declare victory and go home. Like, you killed an 86-year-old cleric. Let's just call that a win and then pull back. And so then, meantime, he got convinced to denounce me. So I call over there to see, call someone who knows him to see. I said, I'm just going to fly up anyway and tell him this because I think it's so important. And the person says, don't bother, because he's being shown polling that this war is like a 90-10 win for him. And I said, I don't know where that polling is coming from. It's like, I guess you could make any kind of poll, and he's watching Fox News, which is telling him the same thing, and he's getting fake polling. I guess they're only polling Sean Hannity's viewers or something. And so I'm not sure that there's a sense that this is unpopular.
Yes, well, he's being misled continually. It's crazy.
Last night, in Qatar and Saudi Arabia, authorities arrested Mossad agents planning on committing bombings in those countries. Now, that's weird. That doesn't make any sense. Why would the Israelis be committing bombings in two Gulf countries, which are also being attacked by Iran? Aren't they on the same side? No. Israel wants to hurt Iran and Qatar and UAE and Saudi and Bahrain and Oman and Kuwait. And they've succeeded. And the third thing you would have to do if you wanted true control over the region, which as we've established, Israel wants, but the final thing you'd have to do is get the U.S. out of the Middle East. And this war is designed to do it. Because the Israelis, who are very well aware of domestic American politics, know that there is no appetite whatsoever for casualties among the American public, that this war did not have anything approaching majority support. In fact, it had small minority support, and that's shrunk even in 36 hours, and that this would cause a political crisis in the United States, and that it would most critically convince our Arab allies in the region, meaning really the Gulf states and Jordan, poor Jordan, wonderful country, it would convince them that the United States is a bad ally.
Well, Tucker released that last week, and it's further been evidence since then that yes, Saudi Arabia thanked Pakistan intelligence for letting them know Mossad was planting bombs or planning to plant bombs and do false flags. Some of them they carried out. They said they would have never known it was Israel without that intelligence. You can see the typical Israel playbook is do false flags and blow up your neighbors and blame Iran. So then they go, oh, let's all attack Iran for doing Israel a favor. It's how they fool the Westerners, the dumbed down Westerners. They, recruit Islamic terrorists and do some terror attacks, like say on a beach in Australia as an example, or, a cafe in Port Arthur, Tasmania. And they recruit people to do this. And then they blame the Muslims. So then Christian countries like Australia will hate the Muslims and stand with Israel. And then they'll do attacks against Jewish people and put, fake caravan plot to bring in anti-Semitism laws when the Jewish community in Australia live quite healthily, quite fine until that occurs. Because they want the Jewish community to send money back to Israel and stand with Israel and relocate back to Israel because it's a safe location. We warned Israelis they should have fled last year because it's predictable what's coming. Netanyahu is a bully, arrogant, schmuck. As a kid at school, as a bully like that, what should have happened to him? You tell me. Should he got a good whack in the nose, smack in the face? Yes or no? You would say yes. A bully like that mouths off, that causes trouble and goes around trying to bluff and intimidate people, needs a good smack in the nose. And not only one, but he should get it 2 and 3 and 4 times until he learns his lesson. If he doesn't learn his lesson, he needs to be taken away and put in a safe house, locked up for good. He is a war criminal. That's what's coming once this war is finished. He knows that. That's if he survives the war. That's if Iran doesn't eliminate him, as they have every right to do. Regime change is coming. Clearly not for Iran. It's most likely for the Trump presidency is pretty much done. I predict that now. He will never recover from this. And Netanyahu is the most hated individual on the planet.
France just shot down an Israeli drone over Lebanon, but what happened next will shock you. Today, French peacekeeping troops working for the UN said, quote, "The drone flew aggressively over one of our patrols." And you need to know, because the Israeli drone did that, the French troops thought they were going to be bombed. And so the French troops, quote, "took necessary defensive countermeasures to neutralize the drone." In other words, they shot it down. And in response to these French troops doing that, Israel actually attacked the French troops without a care that this could genuinely start a war. France said, quote, "A second Israeli drone then dropped a grenade close to the patrol." And it gets worse. Not only did Israel try to blow up these French troops with a grenade, but France also said, quote, "Shortly after that, an Israeli tank fired in the direction of the peacekeeping troops." Now, despite all of this fighting, luckily nobody was injured, but the UN called it, quote, "deeply concerning." And even the French government spoke on it. They said Israel's actions were, quote, "despicable, dangerous, and unacceptable." So these French peacekeeping troops in Lebanon shot down an Israeli drone that they thought was going to bomb them. And in response to that, Israel dropped a grenade on these troops, and then they got their tanks to open fire on the troops. Huge news, this could get worse.
So you gotta understand that Israel is no one's ally. They don't care for anyone. Their own sole goal is fake banking satanic cartel state created by the Rothschilds that no one should be offended if we criticize. Like I know even in Australia, some people, oh, that's anti-Semitic. Bullshit. Grow some fucking balls. It's not anti-Semitic to call out Israel, to call out the Netanyahu regime, to call out Zionists, the stupidest political ideology, a terrorist organization. Call them out. Anti-Semitic my ass. It's time for humans to grow up and stop believing fake news. Unless you want to be a fake person and live a fake life and a fake existence. Pretty sad way to live, isn't it? But that's why you follow Australian National Review and other independent media, because you're sick of the bullshit, right? And we are sick of the bullshit. Call out the bullshit. That's your duty, folks. Until the next episode, take care.